you made something happen on Sunday. The whole car changed. The whole car.
Yeah, I was ready to retire after Saturday.
All right, guys. Episode 2, Sharky and Dusty Hit a Wall podcast. So, had the first episode. If you'd like to check it out, Spotify and YouTube, got the full version on there. What do you reckon?
It was good, and thanks for all the views, guys, on the short reels, because we did want to talk about we had a lot of topics. We didn't get through everything, but massive feedback on the first one, so really appreciate that. And yeah, it's a successful start.
First guest here,
I know.
next to me.
Who's this? We've got a wide camera now, so we've got Brad Vaughan joining us today. Brad Jones, racing driver, and funny enough, we did start the podcast. I didn't press record, so apologies for that.
So you stuffed the sticker up, and then you're stuffing this up. What are you doing, dude?
We got 2 minutes in.
Is this professional, or is this some sort of...
And I realised I wasn't recording, so we're restarting at 2 minutes. But last year at the 500, we all thought, this is it. You're not coming back. This is the last season. It was pretty, heart-wrenching, but now you've moved to Brad Jones Racing, and how did it all come about? That's just unreal.
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me, guys. And it's a pretty crazy story. At the end of last year, obviously done 2 years with Tickford and sort of thought that was probably it. And then, a couple of weeks before Christmas, had a phone call out of the blue from Brad Jones sort of asking what I was doing for this year. And one thing led to another, and here I am going around again.
Big change in terms of like how they go about racing from Tickford to BJR?
Yeah, it is a big change. Brad Jones is a bit more of a family team, which I'm enjoying. It sort of feels like we're walking into the family workshop a little bit more, and everyone's been really good there, and just sort of being a part of it really quickly. Like, I haven't really felt like I've been left out of anything, which is good.
Is there different driving styles in terms of the 8 drivers that you've sort of got? Is that sort of something?
There's always going to be driving style differences. It's early to say. Obviously Sydney was the first round for us on Super 2, and then I was watching on the TV at the Grand Prix, so I'll answer that question after I've sort of watched it a bit more.
Did you get a ride day on the Monday? You did.
Yeah, that's been the coolest thing so far with them is, with Tickford, I never got to drive one of their Gen 3 cars, but straight away within being at BJR, I did the Wednesday test day before the event, and then the whole ride day as well. Probably did 80 laps on that day.
That's so good. And that's straight off the bat as well. That's like first round, like passenger hot laps. Yep. A lot of drivers say they don't like doing the passenger hot laps, but what do you think of it? Because it's a Gen 3 car. You get to drive it, but you've got the extra weight.
I love it. I love it. The more laps, the better. Some guys don't really like it because it's, it's an extra chore or whatever to do, but I love seeing the reactions of the fans and whatever, and who's jumping in, and more laps the better.
I would get sick in a supercar. I'll get too nauseous.
Sick? Like LEG? Like just sort of sick?
Mate, with him driving, it would be horrible. But the Ben's enough. But but that's really cool. Like, you honestly just jumping in the seat straight away, which is a massive achievement. And you're getting laps.
And the coolest thing is, towards the end of the day, I took a couple of the engineers around, and then Bryce Forward jumped in, and I took him around and swapped seats, and Bryce drove and took me around. So that's pretty cool. It's the first time I've sat in the other side of a supercar, and it definitely feels different.
What were you on the new 2025 tyre?
Yeah.
Much difference can you feel? Or is it
not really. It was a little bit difficult to tell on a ride day because you've always got an extra
that's true.
100 kilos in the left-hand side, but it's supposed to be a little bit better temperature-wise, so we'll wait and see.
Good fun. So you got a busy weekend coming up, Dusty. What do you reckon?
Well, currently we've got a scholarship series, which is high in demand that we've talked about, which is on this weekend at Sydney. Brad, you're actually a driver coach. Is that correct?
That's my job.
The category? Yep. So in the small weather that we're in, we all do a bit of driver coaching at the Bend. I'm just there for entertainment. But
well, I'm working up at the Bend this weekend. You're working in, is it Eastern Creek?
I'm going to Race Tas. We've got Race. We've got Race Tasmania on, and we've got scholarship at Sydney. So I'm choosing to go to Race Tas. One of the big news stories though is for Race Tas is Trans Am now has a record-breaking grid, 32-car grid for Trans Am this weekend.
Yeah, right.
The numbers are going, and Tassie's not cheap. It's a very expensive round to go to.
We're going through that right now with the logistics side of things, trying to
because you're both racing. You're both racing in Tasmania.
Yeah, yep. So I'm involved a little bit with the team, obviously our team, getting the truck and the race car and all the equipment over there, and the prices are it's crazy. So the government or the council or the state government is helping out some of the teams to get over there, which is good. Supercars are working together with some of the categories to put packages together. But it is hard, and I've spent hours just doing quotes and working out what's best to. Yeah, well, it's just expensive all around. So
as a privateer, you're doing it all yourself.
It's tricky.
Yeah. So what's the government doesn't give you a 20% levy or like discount as such?
You got to keep your receipts on what you spend in terms of accommodation, hire cars, all your expenses, and then you can get a percentage back. Yeah, so there's that, as well as Supercars sort of help us out as well, which is nice, but it doesn't cover the whole lot.
It's something that, sort of with the Speedway the other week, we had a fair few Tasmanians come up from Mildura and they get an extra $5,000 just to get over here. So obviously that boat trip's expensive.
Well, we don't get tow money like that's. You're already talking Speedway. So
it's coming in. It's funny. He's got the background of it.
Well, funny enough, like we've come from Speedway. Our dads raced each other and super sedans back in the day. So we'll maybe pull up some old photos.
I didn't know your dad raced Speedway.
Yeah.
I did not know
He's still
that.
racing Speedway. So, but Brad's old man and Steve and my dad Kim, they both raced for years in the super sedans. So it's funny enough.
What is a super sedan for people that don't know?
You got no idea in Speedway.
No, I know. I've seen
a super
Speedway.
sedan? What is it?
I've been to Bordertown. I've been to Murray Bridge, and that's about it. But I've got my experience. But what?
So Speedway or super sedans are, I guess, the V8 supercars of tin top racing in Speedway. So
no, that's street stocks.
No,
you're a big street stock fan, aren't you?
I love it. I love the old
Kai, big shout out to Kai Richardson.
Whoever that is, mate. You're a legend if you race street stocks. It's I guess it's the premier tin top series in Australia. So it's been around for years, and they've got the late models nowadays, but. Yeah, super sedans have a bit of a resurgence, I guess, in the last sort of year
and
or
they
so.
had a really big Australian title on the weekend at Murray Bridge on Sunday, which put on some awesome racing. And it's always been the premier.
Last lap change for the lead, wasn't it?
There would have been 3 or so different leaders in that race, and for it'll come down like it did. Anyone that hasn't watched it should.
Makes me want to get into Dad's. He's going to sleep over there. he's not a dirt fan. He gets his camera. His cameras
I do
dirty.
want to learn. No, I do. I genuinely have respect for Speedway.
It's massive.
One of the big things I didn't know this was that you get tow money. They pay you the money to come to the event. Like that feels like it's very welcoming.
It is good. Like it's just money in a different area. Like you'll get sort of tow money and prize money, but you may not get as much sort of corporate backing as you do in the bitumen side of things. So it's just it's different.
From my side of thing, I've earned more prize money this year in Speedway with the wingless sprint than I do in Super 2, and that's a fact. But obviously, you're not on TV, so you're not getting that sort of corporate sponsorship.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I did see an event come up, I think it was last week. Wingless had a record-breaking grid, 109 cars, if I'm correct. And where the hell did you finish out of the 109?
So I ended up finishing 9th in the Australian title out of 109 cars is something. It's not the win,
ninth
but
in
it's
Australia.
massive.
He's ninth best wingless driver in
I
Australia.
reckon you should put that on the Super 2 car.
And it just shows you how strong, a class like that is. If it's affordable, people race it and you get big numbers.
And I guess that's what alludes to the V8 Super Utes. It's cheap form of racing to some degree, and people can afford to put it together, put a car on track and go racing. But the wingless excites me. The grid numbers are huge, like 100 odd cars. If you don't get your heats right and move forward, you're not going to make the B or the A. So it's just you got to keep moving forward. So.
They talk about like spectacles with like support categories having crazy accidents and close sprint racing. Well, isn't that what wingless is meant to be? It's the excitement still before the main category. But you've got so many cars that there's so much going on.
Yeah, it would have been good. Did you see Travis Pastrana drove at 410 the other day? Did you see that?
I did see that. That's pretty cool.
We'll pull that up somewhere here. No. He drove. He was mixed up with Larson, obviously with the NASCAR side of things, and they go into. He talks about sort of driving the sprint car. I think it was Christopher Bell's sprint car, maybe. But you see some of the comments on this, and people are saying, "Oh, he was meant to be on the power," and they just don't understand how hard a 410 sprint car is.
You're always moving the wheel. From what I've seen from the footage, you're always.
Well, you steer the car with your right foot.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
So it is weird. Like you probably would have chatted to Waters a little bit. He drives a 410 a fair bit now, and those are hard cars to drive. So
anyone that drives a sprint car, they get out of it and go, "Wow!" Cam obviously loves it. Speaking to him, and he says you get back in the V8 Supercar after driving the sprint car and it feels slow. That's the sort of
that's insane.
That's the sort of power they've got. Faster better power the weight ratio than a Formula 1 car.
Yeah, it's insane. The 900 horsepower, 600 kilos.
Still at the 500, they had a two-seater one. Charlie Dixon jumped in. There was a two-seater sprint car experience.
You love it?
I don't know how he fit in it, but he absolutely thought it was insane. You know, it's a pretty cool experience to have.
And I think Luke Dillon might have. I was talking to Luke Dillon. I think he's driven it once, the two-seater, and you're still not the same as a full-fledged single-seater 410. And I'd love for someone to experience, or punters to experience what you do in a fully fledged single seater 410. But
that's the thing though. Even like
maybe you can drive
maybe
one,
this
Dusty.
is just me and my Excel. But I'm always like, I wish my mates could experience what this was actually like and what was actually going on in the cockpit.
What, smashing front headlights?
Just putting the pedal down and just hoping for the best, mate. Like I said, I hold the record for most crashes, and I'm not proud of it. But you know, it's such a cool experience. You can't really understand it from the grandstand. But
nah, it's tricky. And even like a lot of these guys like Pastrana, I looked at some of the videos that they put out, and it was a slick track, and you're doing half the pace in a slick track to a hooky track. Like you can nearly drive a slick track in a 410, you know, pretty slow. It's not that hard. Just don't spin out. But on a tacky track, say a Warrnambool, when it's locked down, flat out, it's hard work. And that's when you earn your
It's almost something with the hot laps. You know, people love it when they get out. They go, "Oh, that's amazing!" But that's only with a hot lap. You're not going full pace.
50%.
Yeah, exactly
60%.
right. Can you imagine
shocking.
taking a passenger around for an actual race? Even your XL, Matt. Taking around normal versus a race when you've got so many cars around you is totally different element again.
And plus the XL is weighed down 80 more kilos, so you're not going anywhere anyway.
Well, that's it. Like we drive like two-seater Formula 3 up at the bend, and people get out with just massive grin on their face and just can't believe the braking and the slick tyre and the aero. But even that's like 50%
Because you feel you're going slow. I guess you probably feel the same way, Brad. Like you feel like you're not.
Well, you get accustomed to the speed, and you'd probably a testament the first time you drove a supercar. Wow, you're out of your element. Like this is, how am I going to get used to this? And you just gradually, the more laps you do, you get used to the speed, the braking, the power on.
I still remember the first time I drove a V8 supercar, and I was actually that sort of sick before I got in the car. I was that nervous.
Where were you?
It was City Motorsport Park. It was a QMO series race, so no practice. I went straight into a race meeting. And I still remember the first time hitting full throttle, which was out of turn 8 at Sydney, and you get pushed back into the seat. And
Dusty still hasn't hit full throttle in the XL. Nah, so
go on.
Yeah, and I actually drove around with no power steering the first time I drove a V8 supercar, but I knew no difference. So I come back in going, this is, how am I ever going to do this? And later found out that I had no power steering. So that's a funny story.
No practice. You went straight into a race your first time.
Yeah, straight into a race meeting. So that was Friday practice. We got three practices.
Not much.
That's not much at all.
So that was Kumo Super 3?
Yeah, QMO series. It was a race meeting on, the QMO series was still separate to the Super 3 series at the time. So we did an extra round that year to get me sort of built up for the Super 3 series.
What car, whose car was that?
That was the Michael Anderson FG Falcon, which we went on to win the championship that year.
Was there any pedigree in the main game back in the day?
Yeah, I believe, as far as I know, it's the only car that's won in all 3 divisions. So Supercars, Super 2 and Super 3.
Cool.
Which he ticked that charm off with as well in the QMO series. But the thing is I find crazy is that the jump from 86s, which you were in, to Super 3 looks ridiculous. Like, looks like the most daunting. You got a 4-cylinder Boxster to a supercar. That's insane to adapt to.
It is a big jump, and particularly when I only did 1 year in 86s too, just me and Dad running the car, and then all of a sudden, I still remember it one day, just early January, I got a Facebook message saying, "Hey, would you like to drive a V8 supercar?" And one thing led to another, and I was in the car a couple of weeks later, and yeah, it is a big step up, but it's what I've always wanted to do, so it's something I didn't really think about.
So after the 86 season, were you guys already thinking about contacting a team, or you were sort of just approached in a way?
I was approached. We were ready. We entered for the 86 series that year, so we were ready to go, and then sold the car off quickly and got the budget to go and do Super 3. So it all happened really quick.
Was the Super 3 season, was that with Tickford? Or was that with someone else?
No, that was with Anderson Motorsport.
Anderson Motorsport.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they linked up with Tickford at all?
No, it was an ex-Tickford car, which made it easy transition going into actual Tickford team. But No, they're a privateer team out of Bathurst.
Yeah, now Anderson's now using the old Shell V-Power Motorsport cars. They've got 2 cars in Super 2 at the moment. And I remember your first ever round of Super 3 was actually in the rain. We had a couple of other mates. Mitch McGarry had his debut. Jaden had his debut. You had your debut. And it was pouring down with rain. It was flooding the paddock. It was the worst.
Where's this? The 86 or the...
Sydney, no, Super 3.
No surprise, raining at Sydney. I think that was one of your first Supercar events.
It was my first Supercar event.
So you've got me to thank for getting him into.
So it was his debut at Super 3, debut for Mitchell, debut for Jaden, and then we were all there the first time, and it was pouring down with rain. And
was that when the 86s flooded?
Yes, that was
they
flooded
were knee
in
high.
the paddock. It was shocking. It was all the cars got pushed out in the morning. We rock up there. It's like, what the hell's going on? Everyone's, shoes are soaked. The pants are soaked. It was bad. But the racing kept going on.
Yep.
And I think straight away, like, you were still faster than a lot of Super 2 people. Like, it was actually fun seeing the Super 3 guys like you and Kai push up the
I've got a
ranks.
screenshot of my phone being 5th outright in the whole field, in front of a couple of 888 cars. And that was when me and Kai Allen were both into the Super 3 series together, and we were sort of running up there and put Super 3 on the map.
Because Super 3 was like, there was a lot of gentleman drivers, and then there was a young guns that was still there making that category happen. I think it was you 2 guys, maybe 2 others. But it was still like the car. What's the difference between Super 2 and Super 3 of those cars? Like the FG was probably on nearly the same pace as those Super 2 VF Commodores at the time. And
yeah, at that time. So you've obviously got the Codif car, which is what Super 2 is at the moment. And then you've got the Project Blueprint, which is the era before the Codif car, which was still solid diff, lot less aero, had a little bit more straight line, but yeah, no, you still had the wheelet to get it up there, and it's sort of a shame that the Super 3 series thing's all finished.
So what's the story with that? Like, is it no more at all? Or?
It's done. And what happened? Just numbers, Brad.
Yeah, obviously the price got sort of went up, and it becomes, might as well just go straight to Super 2, I think, for a lot of competitors. And it's unfortunate because Super 3 was built on the gentleman driver in the sort of, the old Cumo Classic series. That's what it derived from.
From the Shannon's Nationals, I guess, that's where they were running before. And then they merged them from the Shannon's Nationals Kumo series to Super 3. And then it fizzled out a little bit at the end there.
And I get it, because if you're a gentleman driver, you don't want to have to go to the racetrack and have to wear your high vis to unload the car and all the rules that there are at supercar events, and then be out there with Super 2 cars where you're constantly in your mirrors.
Yeah, that's
they want the relaxed atmosphere, which is what the Cumo series used to be.
Yeah, and it used to be, there was a lot of accidents. Like there was a lot of safety cars just with, gentleman drivers being mixed up with, the main game competitors, and that was tough. It did change a lot of results. And the safety cars called safety cars, and we saw a lot of that as well in the time frame. Remember Sandown that year? It was just a mud bath.
There was a huge pile-ups. The first year that I did Super 3 in the Dunlop series, we did less than half of our racing laps for the year.
Well, I think I've seen something on Facebook that one of the teams calculated how much it cost to... They worked out how many green laps they had and how much that would have cost them for the budget. And it was like $20,000 per green flag lap or something, or 8,000, 20,000, something ridiculous per green flag lap. And it's just phenomenal because you don't get your money back from your entry if you do, 15 laps green flag for the weekend.
It's not quite
it's tricky
because you got testing and everything in between.
True.
From a pure racing point of view,
yeah. So it's hard to swallow that when you're wanting racing and you're, I guess, paying for that. But everyone's in the same vote, and I guess everyone contributes to the safety cars at some point, I guess, to some degree. But motorsport. That
was probably the last prime year of Super 3 that there was enough competitors. And I guess the end of the season was insane because it was you against Kai, and Kai was in the lead to win the championship.
So Kai was leading?
Kai was, Kai, I think he was leading the championship. Brad was still up against that. And then Kai was leading, was doing really well out there. We thought he was going to win. And then unfortunately, hit the wall. And that was, if you're fortunate sake, won the championship.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing day, really. That's probably one of the greatest days of my life. So went into the Sunday about 30 points behind. I clawed back a few points the day before by winning the race on Saturday.
And what's first place for points? I think it's like
150 points for a win. Second's about 135 or something. Yep. So you're clawing back. If you win, Kai's probably going to be second. So the points were always really close all year. And then coming out that last day, I thought, 30 points, probably not going to happen. So I just sort of took it as a everyday race, didn't really think much about it. And then, Kai made a mistake at turn 8, which, I've made a mistake there and plenty of other drivers have too, which gave me the championship. So that was pretty cool.
It's one of those things, like, you see a lot of incidents at turn 8 at Adelaide 500, and people probably wonder why, good drivers do that. It's because there's so much time to be made up in T8, and especially in quali, you can probably gain, three tenths or 2 tenths, depending on the series, in that corner, and they push hard on the early in the weekend when the track probably hasn't rubbered in yet, and you come unstuck, and there's no room for error.
It's the inside of the track, though. It's that reference, isn't it? And
well, sometimes people hit the inside curb and it sends them out into the wall. So it's not only just hitting the outside wall, you're actually stuffing up on the inside, which sends you to the outside. So I'm not sure what Kai did that weekend, but that's
But you always had your accident there, and I feel like there's a mix of it. There's the shadows that are changing on the inside, but yours was, I think, an inside hit. And then you rebounded on the outside. Yeah,
I hit that little inside Armco, which you can't really see when you come into the corner, which I think is the biggest problem about that corner. But it is so fast. You're tipping in, top gear, you hardly even brake, and then you commit back to the throttle, and there's time to be found there. And for me, it rained all Thursday practice, and then straight into qualifying Friday, straight out on a green tyre, and you got to lay down a lap, and that's where my mistake happened. So anyway, that's enough talking about that.
Good fun.
We had a clip, but we'll probably erase that from the database.
I can pull it up if you want.
I want to watch a little bit of it.
Oh, that's not fair, Brad. Come on.
It's a world famous clip.
Is it?
There's this guy. I was going to show this is Indian guy on YouTube who does these recaps. I just want you to watch 20 seconds.
That's look. Is that where you hit that concrete?
Yeah.
What's he saying? That's Aaron Love.
That's not even me.
So
that's Cam Waters. What?
So I think he puts all these AI. It's an AI sort of YouTube person that puts all this together.
It's AI generated video, but the guy
he's got nothing to
what's
do.
This?
Richard Childress.
What?
Look, it's
third party country.
Yeah. Look, we'll leave that.
Yeah.
We'll leave that be. So, Formula One on the weekend, we had a big watch party up here.
We had good fun. And all the lads down.
Poor old Oscar, he was there.
Everyone was heartbroken because he had the pace. He was on the mark for that round when catching. And it's just rain. But Formula One, at least they let the race happen. It was
that's a topic I had on the list of why they cancelled that supercar race. But we'll touch on Formula One first. What do you think? It was pretty exciting. When I seen the weather coming, I knew, sometimes Formula One can be quite a snore fest, and you find yourself sleeping halfway through the race. But when there's rain in the area, you just never know, and it was always going to be a good one when the weather forecast is like that. So it was good.
It was nice. It's first round of the season. The crowds are crazy. 455,000. Adelaide still holds the record for most crowd. It was over 500,000
Is that
attendance.
right?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Adelaide still holds the record.
I was in a pram at 2 years old.
Yeah, we didn't get to see any of that, unfortunately. But really impressive for Melbourne. It was a good race, and with all the lap one chaos, what happened with the new Red Bull driver that crashed.
Well, some of the rookies sort of put it in the wall, didn't they?
It was tough. The new bloke, I forget his name because they're all just rookies. Hadjar.
Well, Helmut Marko threw the knife in. Did you see that?
That's a tough comment as well. Helmut Marko was saying after it was a post-race interview that it's embarrassing to be crying as such.
What do you want him to do? Smile?
I mean,
you
build your whole career up and then you crash it. It's a bad
but the crew
mistake.
aren't going to be too impressed if you walk back in the garage smiling.
You've got to show emotion.
100%.
You do. It's part of the sport.
He cares about the result, and Helmut Marko is a hard taskmaster. He produces good drivers to some degree, but I don't think he gives them enough shot. You know,
he's a hard guy, which can be, I guess, good in many ways. But people are going to be very against those comments of the younger generation, especially. Hey, it's very shifted from where he comes from.
It's tricky,
Well, I think most of it comes from the media, people talking about Liam Lawson already. he's one round in, give him a break.
Well, they're starting memes after qualifying.
That's all the Mexicans.
They're starting memes after qualifying.
They are.
So hang on, like one session into the season.
That's all just to Sergio Perez fans, you know. But like, yeah, it's his first round. I know it's a thing with Red Bull where the second driver seems to have an issue.
No, hey, this is exactly what we talked about last episode. Is the new demographic coming into the Formula One. And it's not the true blue people that actually understand motorsport properly. It's the Netflix kind of people.
Formula One's the only sport that has a younger generation watching.
Look, I like it. It's good. But they have to be careful not to lose the proper motorsport fans. And that's what they're starting to push back on them.
If you talk about what grinds my gears, because that was a topic of this podcast, it is that. Exactly right. It's the Sky Sports commentators too that just waffle about nonsense the whole time that does grind my gears.
But it's also English based. If you look back on the history, they always look after the English drivers. It's a very English narrative. And I reckon they might need an option. If Formula One to grow, that's my take, is have 3 different options of commentators. And this leads back to Supercars as well. I reckon there's always talk on, replacing the commentators. How about give 2 options on your KO, select 2 options. You have the fresh version, Chad Nailon and Garth Tander, and they have the genuine, the old school Mark Scaife.
I couldn't see that being a problem. I think everyone's so in tune with Sky Sports and Martin Brundle and all that. Like, it'd be cool. It'd be really cool to have like Chad and Garth and all that, like our Supercars commentators on that.
But have 2 options. So if you don't like it, like the keyboard warriors always say this and that, we should change. Just select the option. Bang, done.
They'll find something else to complain about.
Yeah, well, that's it. But they have that with Formula One with the kids. Have you seen the...
I don't watch it.
Matt watches that,
No, I don't
dumbed down version for your...
I don't understand what's going on. Who's Lewis Hamilton? Which is good that they have that. I don't know who's watching that. But
it's hard.
It's biased because they are British, hey? Isn't it?
It's always been like a British style formula.
What the new owners have done since Bernie Ecclestone is amazing.
Yeah.
It is, no matter what, the racing's going to be the racing. The more marketing, there's more budget. Look what's happened. Because of Drive to Survive, there's an F1 movie. And it's groundbreaking. The story, we'll see what the story's like when it comes out, but it's groundbreaking with visual effects and what they've been able to achieve in the trailer. Unreal.
You watched it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like Amber, my partner, she said, "Oh, that looks great. Well, let's go watch it."
She's
not a
no
motorsport. She's a teacher, never been involved in motorsport in her life, and she wants to go and watch it because it's put together well, So and look at what's happening now. Auto Action put up a release saying they want to do a 2-weekend. I don't know if you heard about this.
Can you see it happening?
Dude, look at the Super Utes have put something out. We've gotten 1,000 or 500.
What is this about?
So this is, okay, we'll go back to the Auto Action article. So they're saying that the infrastructure costs so much money to put out there that they might as well host 2 race weekends. So they'll put on, an event previous, like a historic event, and they'll put on some other categories as well, Australian categories.
Yep.
And then, so they'll have that, say, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday the week before. Then they'll have, say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off or some street events or something. And then they'll kick back into the Formula One normal.
It's so much to cram into one weekend, hey. And that's the infrastructure for it. I mean, imagine Super 2 as well as a support area and Supercars having their own feature.
The Tri-Power V8 Super Ute series.
Especially for your marketing and sponsors as well at Albert Park is massive.
And we've got massive reach. A lot of the comments are keen to see us, smashing doors and hitting each other off the track. And we put on great action. I reckon they should give it us a go. Get the Super 2 guys out there. Make it an all-Aussie sort of event as well as the Formula One event. We'll see what happens.
Because it is, the thing is with Supercars is they're under F1 rules, so they got like, they're far off from the paddock, and also like you can't even film in the paddock.
Well, they had some of our own medicine. The Supercars had some of our own medicine.
Yeah, how do you like that, Supercars? Hey?
Nah.
It hurts, doesn't it?
It's tricky. So, look, I understand there's rules in place and it's out of our control. We'd like it freed up a little bit to help with some of our partners to paint that story and do it properly. So, there was a bit of a push and shove with some of the, I think Supercars, someone put up some onboard footage or something. What was the...
Apex Hunters went in, I think it was Scott and Elliot, I think. It was onboard footage.
But how did they get the footage? How did they get the photo?
Someone would have.
It was Ryan Wood's on board that got shared around and got into the hands of obviously Scott and Elliot, and they posted that, and then Craig Baird's in the comments, and then there's, it takes off because people don't want to get a penalty or whatever because of exactly what you guys were talking about last week. It's just it's a screenshot.
Yeah.
It's a photo.
Just a photo. That's it.
But that is against the rules.
It's
tricky.
That's tough for them that they've just been like.
But like, isn't it black and white? Like, if you put it out there. No, but hang on. Like, why is the rule not followed? Like, if there's a rule in the reg saying there will be a fine or a punishment if that gets leaked, why didn't he get a fine?
And did that footage tell a different story on the penalty that was already existing? That's the thing.
I don't
Because I think
so.
penalty would have been solved, but it showed a different footage from Ryan Wood's side of things.
Yeah, but you can't just judge a penalty off of one screenshot. You've got to look at the whole corner.
Yeah, I think another podcast out there said the same thing. I think it was a Speed Cafe one. They were talking about that exact thing. If you can chop your snippet or frame by frame and have this much lock, but it wasn't actually that much lock, and show, oh, no, I was turning, but you're not. You just turned at that point. So, yeah, let's not twist the narrative. No. It's fucking hard.
I've been lucky enough to sit up with Craig Baird in the Supercars stewards room there and watch all the Hawkeye stuff and how they go about it. And seriously, after that day with Bairdo, he was very lucky to invite me in. And I'd never sort of argue a penalty because he can see it way better than you can see it.
And also, he's a race car driver himself. And that's the biggest thing. Yeah. We've got one, Stephen White. He's raced for years and open wheelers and utes and stuff before, and he understands what it is like to be behind the wheel. So some of these stewards, they really don't grasp it because they haven't driven a race car before. So having those types of people, Stephen White in the V8 Super Utes and Craig Baird in the Supercars, it is a big asset. And now that what they're trying to do, let the boys have at it and have a bit more racing, you just have to see that the racing was awesome.
That's the entertainment. And you were calling me on Friday saying, Matt, you've got to watch that Supercars race because I missed it. And
on Friday, yep.
It was. And you probably said the same thing, Brad. It was just sprint racing biff.
Absolutely sick. It's like what we've been talking about for the last few years. This isn't some of these penalties here, penalties there. And then people are scared to stick the nose in because they're going to get 30-second penalties. So they just don't do it. I'll sit in third, get the points. That's not what the fans want to watch.
No way.
So there's no fans, no sponsors, no legitimate car racing.
No.
So, yeah, I love it. Bring it on, round 3. I can't wait to watch some of the action in New Zealand and see what Supercars can put on. So.
Getting on to Sunday, we didn't have much to watch on that Supercars race.
Yeah, look, I got a lot to say with that. Like there's too much. One guy needs to call the shots on whether they're going racing or not. Don't let the teams twist their narrative. Don't let go a wet weather tyre.
But most teams voted for it anyway, and it should be a voting system, shouldn't it?
So who said no?
Well, we don't know, do we? Supercars said no, you know? Apparently. Probably not much. but isn't it meant to be a voting system between teams if you can go racing or not?
Yeah, but these cars are worth so much now. $1 million per car.
$1 million?
Yeah, well, that's what they're worth, dude. To put a car, that's what they're worth. So if they were half that or a quarter or 3/4 of that price, maybe the care factor might not have been as much. Like to be sort of not racing because you want to race the week after because you got to pack them in, that's a hard pill to swallow for the fan that pays $180 ticket to go and watch.
The decision is made by race control and everyone inside of that. Whoever makes the exact decision, I'm not exactly sure. But from my experience of driving a supercar in the wet with that new wet soft tyre, which is what main game run in, Super 2 we run the hard wet, which is awful. But the soft wet tyre is absolutely amazing. That is got way more grip than driving a Speedway car on the slick. And I'm not joking. It is amazing.
That's cool.
So I don't see that as an issue at all. The spray is an issue. Yep, definitely. But that's always going to be the issue. So I don't get why they didn't race.
Yeah.
Better qualify pole. You're going to better get pole.
Puts more emphasis on.
Well, Feeney was livid. He was livid. He was getting out of the car going, why are we not racing?
And also those people that are good wet weather drivers, like to be honest, I I'm not too bad because we've come from a speedway background. I won my first Aussie racing car race in the wet, and that was called the rain dance master or something. But
Sharky.
it's I don't know what. Yeah, see, there you go. Leads into the wet weather. Sort of love the water. So look, I don't know.
Episode 41, mate. We'll be coming back to that story.
Richie Stanaway, he was highlighted to be quite strong in the wet. Obviously, New Zealand, they have a lot of water over there and rain. So it's a shame that they don't get that sort of opportunity to show what they can do in the wet. I understand street circuit, and you can only see what happened in the Formula One race. It was hard to drive, but that's another one to bring up. Like they were saying, it's too dangerous, let's red flag it. When they were on intermediates, well, put your wet weather tyre on and start driving with a wet weather.
That's what you were saying. That's what you were saying
when we were watching it. Yeah, exactly.
Just chuck it on.
Chuck the wet weather tyre on. If you've got the wet weather tyre on and it's still too hard, then let's have a chat. But don't have a chat when you're on the intermediate.
Those tyres always go in the bin after every event anyway.
Well, no, that's not. But what I'm saying is, don't talk about a red flag when you're on the intermediate. Talk about it when you can't even drive on the wet weather tyre.
I like what Paul Morris, he put up a video saying, why weren't we racing the supercars, going back to supercars? And he suggested an idea which is similar to what we do in speedways. You get a couple hot laps to see if the track's actually good. What about getting the safety car off and actually going, oh, one lap, just get a feel?
You're putting it onto the drivers though.
Yeah. Do the old thumbs up, thumbs down as you go past the grid box.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But then the guy leading the championship, and there's two rounds to go, he'll say no because he doesn't want it. You know what I mean?
Decision.
Like, yeah, I guess. But I reckon it needs to come to the head hunt show. One guy calls the shots. Tony Cochran, he runs the show. Away you go. Like, the rules are set. Dana White's a classic example in UFC. He calls the shots. Whatever goes.
And that works out.
If you don't want to play his game, don't play at some.
Is it a safety concern?
Well,
is that what they're always
But we signed the waiver.
We signed the same with Target Tasmania and all that jazz. I won't go into that too much, but it's like you sign the waiver. You're doing a dangerous event.
Yeah,
you know the risk that is involved in doing that, and now it's been cancelled. Too many accidents.
Too soft.
You know,
just go racing.
Just go racing. If you sign up for that event, you are choosing. And you know the risk involved in motorsport. That's why you have a disclaimer.
Paid professionals.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can all drive in the wet. Like I've driven in the Michelin wet weather tyres on V8 race cars before, and they're amazing. Even the Michelin Formula 3 wet weather tyre. Like it's amazing how much water that can pump out with the tread, and you've got grip. You're driving the thing like it's nearly slick, and you're in the wet,
mate. Put me out there. I'll put on a bloody show out there. I'll show you what a good time is out in the wet. You know, like just go out.
Yeah. Mate, Utes would have raced. XLs would have raced.
And we will. Maybe we'll take over. Maybe the high power V8 Super Ute series will take over the Repco.
The Repco tyre power Super Ute main feature
You can't talk, can you? You've had 2 drinks and you're drunk. Shut up. Nah, it's good fun. So anyway,
that would be nice.
What else is on the topic?
No, I actually want to dive into. I love Super 2. For some reason, I get more excitement from Super 2, and I want to dive into what we've just had announced for the next round coming at Simmons Plains is the top 5 for the shootout. This is everyone seems keen about this. It's never been done before. I just want to get your thoughts, Brad, on how you feel about this.
I think it's great. I've never done a shootout, even if it is a top 5 or a top 10 or whatever. So hopefully I can get into that, and I assume it'll be off the back of the qualifying session on the same set of tyres, but. Obviously, they're short of something, so they got to make up a bit of time.
But I think it's also about the short track. So, we're talking about that in the Super Utes as well, where we have a split session, top 10 or the top 15 have a different session to the bottom half. It's just very hard. It'll be different to what you guys do. It'll be practice, and then you'll get your times, and then it'll be a split session for quali. So it's just to stop that traffic where big cars and last thing you want is accidents in quali and people screaming at people in the pits because they got bulked. And for our tyre specifically, we get 1 or 2 laps and you might as well put it in the pit lane.
Especially for Simmons Plains, it's such a short track. So is it implemented because it's such a short track and they know that's going to happen?
Well, any fan that's going to Tasmania or watching has to watch Super 2 because there will be carnage, right? It doesn't matter if it's qualifying or the race. Coming down to that, a hairpin is going to be interesting. So the fact I assume they'll split the qualifying sessions, being such a short track, but then also it makes it more fair with a shootout because you don't have the draft. unless there's weather or anything, it makes it more of an even playing field too.
Has that happened? Is that what Super 2 have been doing over the last couple of years, is splitting the quali?
We have been until mid last year. Really, there's about 25 cars in Super 2 now, and if main game can qualify with 25 cars, we can. But
in tracks like Tassie?
But Tassie's probably different.
Shorter sessions, so they go out. So main game, obviously, they somewhat stagger.
It'll be done off practice time, so they'll split it off top half and top 50% and bottom 50%.
So that's what we're looking to do. Yeah.
And main game, I assume, will do something similar.
Yeah, right. It's really only that, maybe Perth?
Yeah, Perth's probably the other one.
It's a 55-second lap time.
It's small. It's small. Yeah, and that's the only, like Bathurst, you got no problems. Tracks like Adelaide 500 aren't too bad. It's just shorter tracks that sort of have those issues. So
it changes the game. I guess it's experience as well for what you're going to experience when you get to Supercars level anyway. So you might as well put it in there. A bit more track time for Super 2, which is well deserved, because Super 2 does bring a lot of entertainment. There's always something going on in the category.
We used to have the short 18-lap time certain Super 2 races, which were always carnage. You'd never get...
They were.
There was no tyre saving. There was no fuel saving. There was none of that. You just went all for it. And now we've gone to the 40-minute race, which gives you a bit more time to sort of, save your tyre and be a bit more strategic about it. But I don't know. I reckon as a fan, bring back the short races. I love the carnage.
And how about a pole shuffle?
Yeah, well, Speedway style pole shuffle, and I wish circuit racing did more of that sort of format stuff where you change it up.
Exactly. So I'm going to try and put forward that to our series is implement different types of formats per round, because it gets stale. It gets really stale if you do the same format every single round, year after year. The people are going, I know how this rolls. You do this, you do that, and keeps the teams guessing, keeps the mechanics on their toes, and maybe drivers go up to the front because they're better at a different style of format. So Speedway do different stuff with pit stops, like a 50-lap race. They'll do 25 laps, stop, do a tyre change, go again, or a pole shuffle, stuff like that. So
yeah,
Speedway news. So
full reverse grid.
No.
Full reverse grid. We do half the grid, or they pull it out of a hat, but I don't know.
That's too entertaining.
Well, they used to do that in supercars probably 15, 20 years ago. They used to have a reverse grid race.
But that's not fair. At the same time, you can't continue to bring out reverse grids just to make it more entertaining. You get on pole, you're on merit, you're on pole.
Yeah. But for the first race, but that's why they do it for the second race, and it's only worth half points. So it's not that bad.
Well, you can do what dirt carts and Speedway and wingless do is 2 races random grid, and you reverse it, so it's fair. So you end up Aaron Love, carnage, it can't be Aaron Love anymore, but Aaron Cameron can be off pole and Chaz Mostert can be from 24th, and then you reverse it round.
That's true. Like it's dirt carts are a hard one though. You've raced dirt carts a fair bit, Brad, and you understand if you.
He's lost his headset.
Is he?
He's on the fence. They're all on the fence.
Nah, it's good fun. So Speedway's great. We love it. Are you doing a few more races coming up, or what are you?
No more Speedway for me for this season. Sort of focus on the supercar stuff now, and then get cracking later in the year. But I love it. Like really, I've always been get behind anything you can, anything you can race, you should do. And the Speedway was something that I wasn't really doing much over summer. So I'm like, well, we can go do this and have some fun.
When are you getting into 410?
Stay tuned, mate. Maybe next year.
So how much does it cost for a season of 410, right? Like you're paying Super 2 money?
Well, no, but see, 410 racing is you can do it cheap, you can do it medium, and you can do it massive.
You'd be pretty high on 420 racing.
Listen to you go. But it is true. Like you can't really do that. You can't really do that with circuit racing. You really need to spend the same-ish amount, I guess, because you've got a set amount of tyres, a set amount of non-feed, diesel for the truck, crew are relatively the same, whereas sprint cars are sort of you can put brand new tyres on if you want. You can have a $120,000 engine, or you can have a $45,000 engine. You can sort of have titanium, everything. You can sort of do things in different ways, and you can still get a decent result. So a lot more variables in Speedway, but Yeah, it's not Super 2 money. Like 410s, depends on how much you race as well. Whereas you're dictated to do 6 to 8 rounds
Exactly right.
in Super 2, whereas you could do 10 to 15 shows, or you could do 40 shows. So you could spend 800 to $1 million in 410s
and
in
the
a show.
season's more like a summer kind of.
Oh, it's only summer.
Yeah, it's only summer, so you can blow a lot of money very quickly if you need to.
It is, but big news, and this is a bit of a rumour mill in my. I don't know. Look, Dyson Motorsport has sold up.
Hang on.
Right. So Dyson Motorsport is a leading sprint car team, and a little birdie has told me that so they're a part of Complete Parts and Equipment. They own that company, and a little rumour mill is that they're buying into 888 Racing. So they're buying 888, a portion of 888 Race Engineering. So
You heard it here first.
You've heard it here first. And if this doesn't
That's
happen,
true.
delete this podcast. Right. But this is me putting 2 and 2 together, right? This is me putting 2 and 2 together. We're looking at Tony Quinn has sold Aussie racing cars, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. So maybe he's looking to sell his portion of 888 Race Engineering because he's got 30-40%, right? Complete Parts and Equipment sponsor Will Brown, and they sponsor some of the supercars, and they're heavily involved in 888 right now. So maybe he's sold out of sprint car racing and he's looking to get into 888. Look,
Tony Quinn's motto is always build something, do it right, and then sell it, which he's done with Aussie racing cars.
And 888's going well now. Maybe this is where it's at. So hasn't hit any headlines yet. Little birdie's told me that someone's been speaking about it. So I don't know what you know, Brad, but you're not going to speak about this. It's a different team.
I think there's definitely something going on with circuit racing. You know, they wouldn't just get up and go. And the way the press release is sort of written is they're not getting out. They're going somewhere for the kids and the longevity of their racing. So
there's a lot more family friendly
Wait and see.
in some degree, circuit racing. So bringing kids into the paddock and things like that, getting them sitting in the car and things like that. So yeah, we'll see when that comes out. But if that breaks the internet and it's not right, then we'll see what happens. But this is what it's like. This is why I like this platform.
That makes sense, though.
It does, doesn't it?
It does make sense now you say it.
It does. So the Aussie racing cars have just been sold to
TFH
hire.
Yeah.
So do you think that the Aussie racing cars will then sort of move off the supercar calendar and move towards more of the speed series?
Because speed series, yeah.
Because they're heavily involved in Trans Am, and that's obviously where they race in the speed series. So do you think that's where the Aussie racing cars will head towards?
That's where the TFH got their Trans Am team. And they've moved away from the Toyota stuff as well with supercars because they didn't like the whole supercars, how they operated and whatnot. They're more free ball. It's a massive change. I think a lot of Aussie racing cars are a bit concerned about it because there's a lot of, they've got their own team and there's favoritism and all that. But they are heavily involved in the speed series, and it would be a shame to see Aussie racing cars leave the supercar paddock. Why would you want to race Aussie racing cars if you're not having some supercar rounds?
But that's
a massive
in the last
part
few
of it.
years, they haven't done their full championship with the V8 or the supercar calendar. So I guess maybe they'll do a couple and then they'll do 3 or 4 on speed series possibly. I don't know. I
feel like there's a lot of drivers there that need those supercar rounds.
Everyone needs
to be on the supercar calendar.
We talked about this last episode, is that if you're not in the eyeballs, you don't get the team partners, and if you don't have the team partners, it's very hard to put a package together.
I like what Speed Series is doing. They give so much access to fans. They still struggle to get the people there, but they get the diehard fans there, which is great. But
it's not enough.
It's never going to be able to compete with supercars. They do an amazing job, but unfortunately, it's just you get your diehard fans, and there's a couple there. And
the supercars
TV
control
coverage,
the main motorsport events in Australia.
Which is why you need to be a Super 2. It probably adds an inflation to Super 2 as such as well. You have to do Super 2 if you want to get to the top of Australian motorsport.
Going back to that, Brad, with the Super license points, has that been thrown in the bin, or has that been modified, or what was the last on that?
No, it's still around. Super license is still around. It's been adjusted a little bit. So, as it always has to be, some categories need to be worth more than others, etc. But it's still around. As far as I know, you still have to do some rounds of Super 2, but I may be wrong. So I got my Super license easily last year, but it's still a struggle. And really going back to all the other series, is the SRO, the speed series and everything. The whole sort of structure to me is a little bit messed up, because you've got Aussie cars are here on this event, the super bikes, that. We need one sort of series that controls where all these state level categories are, because unfortunately we're going to keep seeing a demise of TCR, S5000, those sort of categories.
Yeah, I don't think S5000 is even a thing this year.
It's done.
Yeah, which is a shame because those cars are amazing cars. Have you driven one of those?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to drive one. Amazing, but in the end of the day, people want to go racing, but they can't spend an arm and a leg doing it.
Yeah. Well, what are they worth around?
Not
do you
too
know?
much.
Yeah.
And they're faster than supercars as well. They are faster than supercars, which probably is a concern and a conflict as well.
Yeah, look, when I raced in the Australian Drivers' Championship in Formula 3 for Artec Motorsport, we sort of found that a little bit. They gave us a few rounds, but they didn't want Formula 3 to be on the calendar and be 10 seconds a lap quicker. It's not the best look for fans, but like, what do you expect? Like, what do the fans expect a tin top heavy car to be?
Who cares?
I know.
It's not going to take them away.
I don't know. It's a tricky one because Super 2 had that issue with you were faster at Bathurst.
You did have a record there.
2 seconds a lap quicker last season, sorry. And previous generations of supercars, when they implemented the new generation at, say, Adelaide 500 for the first round back in the day, Super 2 were already faster than supercars because they just haven't got their shit organised yet. So it's a tricky one, and they try to throttle them with certain things that they do just so it didn't look weird, but yeah, it's hard.
Unfortunately, and I see this with Trans Am, which I think is a great series, by the way, that has been shafted by supercars because they don't want them on the support bill. The only 3 supercar events that Trans Am will be at this year are the ones that are not governed by supercars. Darwin, Adelaide, and the Bend.
It's 100% right. But would you want another sport, say if AFL and they put rugby on pre-event? You know what I mean? Like, it's a competing sport or category. It's Supercars event. They run the show. They have to protect their... why would you want... Hang on, but why would you want multiple the same type of racing on? You need Aussie cars. You need an open wheelie. You need a ute category. You need something different that's different to supercars. No one wants to watch Trans Am, Super 2, Supercars, another sedan category. So it's boring.
So they've got that with 86s as the upcoming drivers, Aussie racing cars as the wild looking
and the
things.
utes were flat out, sideways, hitting car.
Big pigs.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Super 2 is like the actual upcomers, and you've got that variety, that little extra
development
taste.
series to some degree. To be honest, I don't really want to call it development series anymore. It's like the NASCAR Xfinity series.
It is.
And that's probably why they've gotten rid of the name development series and calling it Super 2. Those guys are as good as some of the supercar drivers, if not some of them are all. Like Zach Best, you got he's fallen by the wayside, but he went in and he put on pole at the Bend.
It's a tough, and that's a tough one because I think Zach, well deserving for a seat, and it just wrong timing. It was quite unfortunate, really.
He was mixed up in Tickford, or
he was.
Was he racing for Tickford?
He was racing for Tickford.
Did he race for Tickford in the Enduros as well?
He did. He was with Randall, but they had an unfortunate Bathurst. I think there was a first lap accident in 2022, and they were out on the first lap, and I didn't think he really got...
You can't prove yourself when you have a shitty Enduro campaign. It's hard to, the record books show that he didn't do that good, was it, in the Enduro? So then no one gives him a shot the next year, and I think he's got pace.
Yeah, but that's what I can respect about what the Charters did with you guys, and it's amazing. A family team. People don't understand how much work goes into that, but you do everything you can, and you compete with these guys, and you did it. And Sandown was a great example of that. Bathurst unfortunately didn't work out, but I want to just touch base. Can you tell us a story about how that all came around and how you had an accidental phone call and replied to the wrong person when you were doing a text?
What is this?
This is a great story.
I don't know if it's that good, but obviously I was in the hunt for a co-drive last year and saw Armin Charter at a test day at Winton and sort of asked, where you at with finding a driver, and we sort of had a chat. And then one day I was at Phillippi, I'm doing some coaching actually, and he sent me a message about all the details, and I sent back a message which was supposed to go to my manager Chris, that accidentally sent it back to Armin, and he got a very truthful response of what I was thinking about the drive, and he found it quite funny. So it ended up happening, and I'm very thankful for it because I got my first Bathurst 1000 start.
What was the text like? What did you say in it?
There was some truthful things about money and where we're at, but I won't go into details. That's obviously private, but it was quite funny.
That's gold. That's gold. And obviously you gave him a good insight, and he was like, yeah, I want this guy. And then obviously ticking off Sandown, which is like your first time. Well, actually, was it your first time in a Gen 3? Was Sandown?
Yeah, it was the first time racing a Gen 3 and practicing in one really as well. And we had a really good Sandown. Like we finished 19th, but we were genuinely had pace. I was battling Heimgartner and Reynolds, and that's such a cool thing for me at the time.
You ticked it off, yeah.
And then Bathurst was just amazing. Bathurst is Bathurst. The whole pre-hype to it. Unfortunately, Chaz decided to get me in the door at about lap 20 or something.
He had a similar incident to me.
I've never spoken to Chaz yet, but
so me and Ryle came together in exactly the same thing. So at the turning point, you sort of committed and they shoved it up the inside. Who was it? I did what Chaz did to Brad, and I got a penalty. But
you got a penalty?
Yeah, because I turned him around, or half turned him around and put him wide and bump and run, but like a side bump and run. I got a penalty, but Chaz didn't. So we've got different DSOs and things like that.
That was a tough one though. Bathurst was a tough one. Like after that happened, it was pretty much like
game over. Dropped the front bar or something, was it?
Yeah. The front bar came off, and they've actually got that back, which is funny. And it was just a tough race to go 130 laps without a safety car.
Yeah, you needed a safety
I
car.
was desperate for a safety
Honestly,
car.
I was getting bored driving
Needed
around.
a echidna. You should have talked to the echidna and walked onto the track or something to cause a safety car.
We needed something because, even racing in the event, I was driving around looking at the big screens as going around, seeing if anything was going on because it was a bit...
I was in the pit Paddock watching Brad in the pits, and the crew cheered when they got to 15 laps down or something, because they got onto the totem pole.
Yeah.
Because on the totem only shows 23 or what you can explain.
We didn't finish last because Matt Payne crashed. So,
but you were 10 laps after him.
Correct. So it took us 10 laps to get back in front of Matty Payne.
So they all cheered.
Yeah,
anyway.
you still had to keep going around.
Yeah.
You had to keep going around just so you'd get past the person that DNF.
That was a long slog. How many laps did you end up doing?
Not sure at Bathurst, but at Sandown I did 93 laps straight in the race car, which was just over 2 hours. So that's a big stint, and longest stint I've done in the race car, and sort of surprised myself physically how I got out of it.
Do you have to sort of not talk to yourself, but like do the engineers sort of obviously talk to you, keep your mind sort of focused?
It's a way different prospect. I thought it'd be a really, really long stint, but honestly, it went past so quickly.
Yeah,
right. Super 2 races feel just as long as that 90-lap stint did, because
you're battling everyone.
You're just always thinking about something. You're always focused. You're always going, and before you know it, the stint's done.
Interesting.
See, I was going to say, how hard is a 40-minute like Super 2 race? Like you see you guys just sweating everything off. You just
what do they sweat off?
They sweat off their balls, mate. But seriously, it looks like the most physically demanding thing. I think people don't appreciate those Super 2 supercars for how hard they are to drive. What is that like?
To me, the heat's the biggest thing. Like if you don't run a cool suit on a hot day that's over 25 degrees, like you won't make the distance probably. So it is
you need to.
I'm about to put a cool suit into the Super Ute for the 25-30 minute race because it's seriously hot. And they're very similar cabin temperatures, and you're running. How Craig Dontis used to put it, you're wearing ski gear, you're sitting, you're in a sauna, and you're running.
It's ridiculous.
That's what it's like.
It is.
That's literally what it's like.
Yeah.
So 100%. It's very physical, mentally draining as well, which is probably when you see me get out of the car, I'm, sort of want a bit of a break, but. The heat's the biggest thing, and I sit in the sauna before every Super 2 round trying to acclimatise myself, because anything you can do helps. Yeah,
and you need that. Especially, and I hate, it's like some of these drivers, they come out and people are straight away trying to talk to them. It's like, this guy is just of adrenaline rush out of hell.
If you wear a cool suit, it's not, the heat doesn't get to you too much. You run a fan on your helmet with the cool fan as well.
Definitely. Still on a hot day, it still gets hot, obviously, but
it's nowhere near as bad.
Generally, the BJR cool suit was amazing at Sydney that I ran, and when it's working good and the helmet air is working good as well, you get out like perfect. So
I find it's the head. For me, it's the head heat. The body heat's one thing, it's the head. That's why I got a fin. That's why I got a fin.
Sharky's keeping cool. Yeah,
the fin. That's why we're at the open face. But I've just got a Stillo now, and you're going to run the full faced, a little bit more safety.
And also, I want to ask you, Brad. Like, Brad Jones, you said it's been a family environment. Do you go to the workshop and like spend time with it? How much time do you spend on the team? Do you have to go there like every second week? What's it like with their schedule?
Yeah, obviously BJR is based in Albury, up in New South Wales there. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to get to compared to what Tickford was. But I still make the effort to get there every now and then, hang out with the crew. Sort of when I went there for testing, I spent the whole week there, just sort of doing a few little things and talking to everyone and getting to know everyone. So it all helps. And
I think Sydney was, it's a family environment, but Sydney was astonishing what happened, because Saturday I feel like you just were so bummed out by the result. You know what you can do, and you made something happen on Sunday. The whole car changed. The whole car.
Yeah, I was ready to retire after Saturday. Yeah, so obviously we rolled out pretty poor with that BJR car, and that's the truth. And after a pretty rough Saturday, I was pretty down in the dumps, and we had a real good think about it. Went over a lot of data, sat with the main game engineers, and came out the next day a hell of a lot better. Engine change, a lot of setup stuff. Pretty much everything apart from the chassis itself was changed, and come out the next day swinging. And to come second, that's the first time BJR's been on the podium in Super 2 since I think about 2017.
Wow.
With Macaulay.
That's massive.
How does that conversation go when you get in after the Saturday? Was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. Yeah. What do you do? Who do you speak to?
I actually went down and saw Brad Jones. I sat down in one of the trucks and sort of said, look, like I've been on pole 4 or 5 times. I've won races. This is not where I'm at. We've got a lot of work to do. And he sort of understood that and made sure the main game engineers gave us a bit of attention as well. And that's the best thing about Brad, is you can go and have a genuine conversation with him. He's the sort of guy you can go to the pub with and have a chat with, where we didn't really have that at Tickford. So that's honestly been great, and we fix it up.
Well, that is good because, and again, he's a racer. Brad Jones is a racer. He's an ex-racer.
Yeah, 100%.
He's raced NASCAR. He raced Oscar, NASCAR, V8 Supercars. So he understands. And the best thing is about sort of what you just said there is that you're not going to cry wolf. So like in a couple of race meetings time, he's listened to you and the change worked. You didn't just say, car's shit, I don't like it, and then you go out Sunday, you change it, and then you go out Sunday, you don't do much better. They change it, you do better, and then he realises, Brad knows what he's talking about. Well, so that's good.
It gave me a bit of confidence too. It shows that I'm not talking out my ass about the race car. So, when I give feedback, I'm actually genuine about it, and, we can make the car go forward.
It's good. I was stunned. Like I was racing that weekend as well, and seeing the Saturday, Brad's in for a long year now. And then, you're watching that soft, and as your race weekend goes, and I thought, this isn't going to be great, thinking that those cars aren't that great, and then after the Sunday, and then they go out and one of the fastest car on track, shit.
That was actually painful. They said they was actually painful. I thought, what's going to happen here? But the team actually stuck by you. They changed so much on the car, and it just builds so much confidence.
So you did an engine change?
So much.
Yeah, we did an engine change between the qualifying and the race on Sunday.
Was it down on top speed or something?
Yeah, I've been complaining about the engine all weekend. That's a long story to go down. But they changed engines really quickly. They didn't have long to do it. We changed all 4 corners of the car pretty much. Every suspension bolt in the hole that can be changed was changed, and they didn't complain. They did it. Some of the main game mechanics came up and helped. Wow. So that's the great atmosphere of BJR that I've really enjoyed. What's
the team personnel on a race weekend with Super 2 and BJR number-wise?
Not sure number-wise, but it's a fair few people. In Super 2 land, we'll obviously have an engineer. We've got a data engineer as well, and 2 mechanics per car, plus you'd have a tyre guy. So between that, the 2 cars, there's a fair few people, and then you've got the main game engineers and crew that...
be 150 guys.
Maybe not that many. I'd guess around the 40 or 50.
50. Okay. Yeah, right.
Actually, I want to bring this up. My favourite event of the year, and it's the best event of the year, and we're privileged to have the person in the room that runs it, the Paddock Bash Cup. And people have been talking about the Paddock Bash Cup. They've been asking, how do I get involved? How do I enter? Mate, Do you know? If you don't know Brad Vaughan, don't ask me because I don't know if you can.
It's an invite only, sort of.
It's pretty cool, and it started as a birthday thing for you as well. It's a pretty special event.
Yeah, no, the Sedan Paddock Bash Cup is the greatest race of the year by far. There's no doubt about that. And it was for my 18th. I wanted to do something different, so I thought let's do a Paddock Bash race out of our block. We got 550 acres of scrub land, so we built a little racetrack, and then next year it got a little bit bigger, and then the year after it got a bit bigger again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got 30 cars this year. And it's a big party, big trophies. It's a ripper weekend.
I started 2 years ago. Adrian, you were there last year.
I still have my protest in for the last year. I won the thing. No.
You got taken out.
I was leading. I took off. We got the lead and come in and did a driver swap. And Riley jumped in and somehow we crossed the finish line with the checkered flag, and we thought we'd won it because we never got past, but we got undercut in the pits. Yeah. And the other driver that won the race, who won it?
Young Deegan.
Young Deegan.
He's won it for a few years, right? And I've got a protest now. I'm going to speak to Craig Baird about this, right? I'm not happy to. Right. So we came in. He had a car where it was a single seat car, right? So they got out, he jumped in, whereas I had to jump out, run around the car and jump in the passenger seat.
Deegan had a co-driver.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't have to get into the passenger seat. So he got out, the other guy got in and drove off. Whereas I got out, Riley jumped in, ran around the side.
That's bullshit. I didn't know that.
Call
Steve Vaughan up right now. There's been a serious incident.
I know. So I think we've got 12 months to appeal. So we're talking to the legal department right now and seeing what we can do.
Go steal the trophy. It's proudly at the Sedan Hotel pub.
Okay.
If you love normal racing and you've competed in state level, this is
We'll put some highlights up. We'll put some highlights up here quickly.
It's 1,000 times better than anything I've done before.
There's no pressure.
There's no pressure.
Jump in the car, have some fun.
Don't hurt yourself. Go out there and smash your car. I feel guilty for smashing me old Magna up that I brought.
Well, I still got my car. It's in pristine condition and sitting out in my paddock. My mates come over and, let's jump in your car. I said, no.
You got to save it.
This thing's in quali trim, ready to go for the paddock.
Team 41 Mitsubishi Lancer.
We'll do a wheel alignment ready for this next season. Get your canvas and right.
Yeah, well, that's it. We'll put on the hoist and have a bit of a look, put on the scales and make sure that the thing's got, front weight on it because it's front wheel drive. So we'll see how we go.
If you said to me, do you want to go out for a night at the clubs or go Paddock Bash racing, I would take Paddock Bash racing 1,000 times over. It is the most entertaining event I've ever done.
HQ? Red Square?
Put it this way, Matt's only ever been to one pole position and it's not the one on the racetrack.
What was my pole position?
Actually, no, you were at pole at Malar. You've raced that.
No, I've led a race in XLs.
You've led a race. You weren't on pole.
I've led a race in XLs only because I was in a pissed off mood. So what I've realised, I got to get pissed off. Pissed off.
If
off
you get that,
a race.
FIA are going to knock on your door.
No.
Actually, talking about that, did FIA and Motorsport Australia come after you from last week's episode?
No, not yet. Did you get in trouble?
They were knocking at my door.
Did you get in trouble? I hope we don't get in trouble.
We'll be fine.
I think we'll be all right.
We've got thick skin.
Yeah. But this is why I say we don't want any regulations. We need the Paddock Bash Cup because it's just a fun outing, and I don't know. I just love the event.
We should do an episode at the Sedan
live podcast in the car while tearing it around.
What do you think I would get done for if I live streamed in my race car? What do you think would happen? You get
a warning saying you cannot do that, and you then apologise and say, sorry, I made a massive mistake. I'm so silly.
So if I live streamed it from on board,
at a super
posted everything,
you get a warning. And you'd have to abruptly apologise. You'd get penalty points, probably in the championship. And if you did it a second time, you'd be kicked out the category, and you can sell your car off. And honestly,
you can buy it.
What do you think?
You race. You were about 35 seconds off my time. It's not too bad, really.
I've got a bit of it in me.
We'll give you another day.
Yeah. That's how I work.
I'll sign you an engineer.
I live for getting Super Ute laps, and then it'll be living for Super 2 laps.
Mate, I'll be there. I'll do a couple of Ute laps.
Yeah. Have you driven one?
No, I've never driven one.
We've got to get you a slider.
I think it was difficult.
It's hard. The H pattern gearbox. We've got a proper pedal box in there. They just no aero. You haven't got a slick tire, so it moves around a lot. So
yeah, 100%.
They could speed them up. Like we could be probably 10 seconds a lap quicker, just like that, by putting a sequential gearbox in it, which isn't that expensive. Well, it is, but
would it?
And you could put slick tires on it. You could put big under tray on the front and a big wing. You'd be 10 seconds a lap quicker. Yeah.
Do a Scott Taylor like, on
and then
the
you could be 15 seconds a lap quicker and do a little bit to the engine, which it probably put 15 grand to the engine. But that's not the philosophy of the whole series. The philosophy is sliding around, keep it cheap so you can have a bingle. And it's not the end of the world to fix it.
That's true.
And you see that on track, that we're not scared to hit each other, have a go. And the fans are turning around now from hating the series in diesels to it's one of the most popular series, or one of top 3 support series to Supercars.
It definitely is. I'd be cool to do a round at some point for you, Brad.
Yeah, jump in there or have a drive at a test day. We'll get you in and see what you reckon.
See what you think, 100%. But it's good. The thing is, you definitely only stick to that category and focus on it. What I like is that, like, Brad, you still do like XLs and whatnot. You still jump in. Why do you still jump in the grassroots categories and speedways? People tell you like, oh, you shouldn't drive a different car because it's going to affect your Super 2 style.
I get told that all the time. I think anything you can race, you should race. You know, a steering wheel and 4 wheels is car racing, right? The more practice you can do, the better you're going to be. Doesn't matter what it is. So yeah, I still got my XL. I got the wingless sprint. Do saloon car racing. Did production cars, hypercars. Driven S5000. Supercars, Super 2, like I've pretty much done
You're ticking up the boxes.
Everything there is to do.
Ticking up the boxes, really.
Obviously, a lot of track day stuff in Porsches and all sorts of stuff. So, mate, anything I can do, sim racing, I'll definitely say yes to. And my XL is up for sale, unfortunately, but I'll still keep racing it while I've got it.
The Hyper, I'm interested. I got an opportunity to possibly have a go in around at the Bend. Obviously, I know the Bend quite well. I've probably done more laps than Sam Sheehan around there.
Yeah.
But one of two drivers, Strat and myself, have done thousands of laps around that circuit doing the driver experience day. So I'm interested to talk to you, Brad, about the Hyper. I haven't actually talked to you about that before. And what's the car like to drive?
The Hyper Racer is actually amazing. Like Dean Crook, who's sort of the guy behind the whole car, Australian engineered and built, and they are quick. Yep. You know, they do a 1 minute 16, I think Waters did around Winton.
Wow.
And for reference,
that's fast.
That's
man.
insane.
My Super 2 car, the best I've done is like a 1:21.5.
Wow.
So it's stupidly quick. Around the Bend, it's as quick as a V8 supercar.
And the top speed would just be murdered. Like in terms of supercars, would be so much quicker. So that, like, if they didn't have that straight, it'd probably be
They
way
have
quicker.
got so much aero. It's ground effect car, so it's flat all the way around the triple right-hander at the Bend, flat through turn 13. Like,
whoa, that's insane.
That's insane. But I think they're not as quick as a Formula 3. Formula 3 is another 5 seconds quicker.
What do they got? Like Habusa?
Habusa.
So that's impressive, and it's now the Australian Drivers' Championship. Those cars are now the feature championship for that. And
there's people that say that it shouldn't have the label. It shouldn't. What other series has it? Like, there has to be a one make series that is an open wheeler, fastest series in Australia, and that's
it's
what
Australian
it is.
made car.
Well, exactly.
It's a unique.
But it's not even
unique
about
car.
Australian made series. Yes, that's a beauty, but it's about an open wheeler series that's the one make. Like, you can look at the open wheeler formula that they've currently got, and their old Formula 3 cars or their Formula 4 cars or their Formula Open cars, it has to be one make, and that's what the Hyper Racing series has got. So how did you go at the Bend? You raced one round or you did a few rounds?
Yeah, I did one round at the Bend and picked up a win there, which was pretty cool. And then little Johnny, who was my mechanic, forgot to leave the fuel cap on the car, and it spilled out all fuel onto my tyres. So that was interesting.
Bad boy, Johnny.
Bad boy.
But interesting going back, you know, obviously I'm a big fan of the cars. They're quick. They're reasonably cheap for what they are.
Yep.
I think it's about $100K for a car, brand new. So obviously the Australian Drivers' Championship, but what's been announced this year is the Gold Star is being redone as effectively not under the Australian Drivers' Championship, that there'll be sort of a tier. You get points depending on whether you race
so
Formula
it's
One,
FIA.
Supercars,
Wow.
Carrera Cup. I assume Utes will be in here somewhere.
Yep.
And, you know, if you get points for winning races, and whoever has the most points gets the Gold Star. So It'd be interesting to see how that
Yep.
affects the Australian Drivers' Championship, but there will be a different Gold Star award this year, which I think is good.
So I think the Gold Star was originally just for Formula 3.
Yeah.
Like years ago.
What does a gold star get you?
So it's just a prestigious award that goes to, I guess, the best race car driver in this country. So I think it was originally awarded to just the Formula 3. It was the Australian Drivers' Championship, and then the Gold Star was the Formula 3 National Champion.
Yeah.
And then because Formula 3 went by the wayside, I think it just went away.
S5000 it went to.
Yes, yep.
And then recently the Hyper Racer.
So if you go back on history, I actually looked at that Wikipedia a little while ago. Formula Holden had it, and then Formula 2, they had way back in the 80s. I think it was even 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all through the history of open wheeler racing in Australia.
1957.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
See, I don't just talk
There's
shit.
a lot of history. There's a lot of history.
100%.
there.
And you can look at Mark
Yeah.
Scaife, Todd Kelly. You look at
Ricky
even the
Bobby.
South Australian driver.
Who won it? What is Simon Wills?
Simon Wills.
He won it?
Simon Wills.
Yep,
man.
we know him well. He's good.
You're pulling it up now. So
There's some amazing names in here.
who else is we
Lex
got?
Davison, Leo Gagan,
Max Gagan, related to Max Gagan?
John Bow, Mark Scaife, Scott Dixon, Simon Wills, Rick Kelly. There's some amazing names.
Yeah.
This is all Formula 3 era now.
But it's the
Yeah.
Australian Drivers' Championship, and the different eras have different formulas, but it was the leading formula at that era. So at the moment, I guess, the Hyper Racer have got that name, and they're putting big numbers. They got 20 car fields or 15, 20 car fields. So it's only going to grow. And I don't know. I'm in two minds on what to do, whether I have a go at it. I reckon I should, because I love open wheelers.
Seems like it's an affordable category for what they're offering as well. Like for hyper races, it looks like it's like, apparently it's the maintenance costs aren't that expensive.
I think the way they've built the cars, they've probably got their own molds with carbon fibre. They've got their own suspension, the suspension's not too complicated.
120 grand car, they say.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, so all the suspension arms left to right swap over, so you don't have to carry double for left or right, etc. Panels are all clip-on. The engines obviously seem to be very reliable from what I've heard. And the maintenance is pump the tyres up and lube the chain. And
But they got changed.
Yeah.
Oh, they do
That's
that.
insane.
With their motorbike engine.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Really easy car to drive. A centrifugal clutch.
That's a weird one for motorsport and circuit racing. No clutch.
I think a lot of prototype cars have that though. A lot of prototype cars do run that setup.
So no clutch.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
clutch.
right.
So isn't that like if you reverse the car in gear, you've basically stuffed the engine up? Like,
What do you mean?
wait, because if you roll the car backwards
They run
while
high
it's in
buses.
gear,
I think they run high buses in those prototypes as well.
they do.
Yeah.
There are
yeah.
certain cars,
Yeah.
that do run it. So
Yeah.
it does work in a category. But now when you get a one make series, it works way better.
Well, interesting to see where that goes, and fast cars.
They're
and
getting
see what
numbers.
happens.
They're getting numbers. I think it's strong. But they just need their own support category.
The biggest thing that I love about that class is the tyre rule. It's 3 sets of tyres for the season. So it's one set of tyres every 2 race meetings. And everyone's forced by that rule. So, one guy might rock up with new tyres this meeting, but the next meeting, he's not going to have new tyres. So they've made it really affordable from that side of things
That's
as well.
great. But
What's your pet hate in motorsport, Dusty?
people that get their engines sealed from different states? That's my
Is
problem.
this an Excel thing? So
No,
I'm
it's not
really-
an Excel thing. It's an every category thing. Actually, it is an Excel thing, probably.
That's an Excel.
It is a
thing.
problem, though.
So is there different rules in XLs depending on what state you're in? Because I've driven an XL, and I'm probably going to be starting to race with a little team in South Australia soon. I love it.
You're
I love
joking.
It. No, I'm serious. Like, I love it. So are you saying there's different rules and stuff in different states?
Seems like, Brad, actually.
Would you win if you had Joel Johnson's engine?
Yes.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. So
No,
you think,
okay. If I was a good driver. If I was a good
so
driver.
it's not you.
Not me, but somebody else.
So hey,
all right?
so not you, someone else with someone else's engine would win.
It seems like, but when you have Victorians racing at the bend, we have no pace at the
But it's-
Enduros, nothing compared
I think
to
they
the-
have got different standards, like the way they seal the engines.
How does it work? It's the heads of the car, and there's for some reason different states have different kind of rules in the national rules.
Obviously, the rule book Circuit XL is Australia wide, so everyone's got to have the same. There is the time attack series. I'm pretty sure they have different rules.
X3 is that what we?
X3 Circuit XL. Yeah. But there's different sealers in different states, and I've been called out with that before. Not to go into detail, but. Yeah, there obviously is something because, there's definitely speed differences.
There's an advantage to going to Queensland to get your engine built there and bringing it down here.
But you said you got a new engine. Why didn't you just go to Queensland? KRE. I said that.
Clearly,
KRE.
It would have done me better. It would have done me. I think it would have. It makes, and it's just that's a couple of kilowatts there. It's a big advantage.
So that's what grinds your gears.
I think from what I've seen in my amazing racing career is when someone's got 1 more kilowatt of straight line speed. It pisses me off.
Well, it does. And it's frustrating because no matter what you do, no matter how good you are setting up a car, the crew is prepping the car, and you're getting smoked down the straight, you get dejected.
What's
and
worse?
that's probably what you happen with your engine at Sydney. Like, you're going down the straight and you're hustling through some of the tight stuff. And I've had this in the past with racing, and you're just like, it's not fun anymore.
Absolutely not. When you see that difference physically happening in front of you.
And then you're always on the defense, and then you're not driving, looking after your tyres. You're driving in the mirrors, so then you're bloody on the wrong side of the road when you're braking zones. It's just shit.
And that's the thing with XLs is you're only making, 80 kilowatts or something.
Yeah.
So, every kilowatt is going to make a big difference.
The percentage is massive.
And that's why you should come race saloon cars or something.
Yeah, saloon cars.
It's a big difference.
Which you thought it would be because they're different production models and whatnot, but you'd be surprised. Just want to touch base as well on that. It's frustrating that in XLs now we've got so many different versions of categories. Victoria now has 2 different state categories that's happening where they have different tyre rules for this one and that one. It kills the numbers of the category. The high-tech series, that's great they're doing it, but once again, there's all this diversity and it's killing the numbers between each state because people going here, people going there, different rules
Diversity
there, different rules there.
Is a hard thing. Like, it's splitting up numbers just because Bobby wants a trophy.
Bobby's not getting a trophy.
Well, they are because they just split it to four people in the race, and
just stick to one national category. The rules are in place. People keep trying to make their own special
but that's
thing.
a Motorsport Australia. They sanction or allow that.
What about AASA?
Well, that's another
which is
whole
that's the competition, and people think they're going to get the upmark going down
because they want a trophy.
They want a trophy.
So they set up a new
rule book.
The
high-tech rounds get 10 competitors enter for it.
So RX8 are going through this, and you're probably a little bit more on top of this than me. They've got 2 series. How does that work? So explain this. What's the cat out of the bag?
So long story short,
big story. No. Big story. We're on a podcast. No short stories.
There's a fella everyone knows called Justin Lewis who I don't think was happy with how the original RX8 Cup series was running, and he's a businessman. He's obviously got some good knowledge, and he wanted to start his own business. He wanted to start his own category with RX8s and make it to how he thinks it should have been run, which he decided to do 2 years ago. So a lot of competitors from RX8 Cup moved over to Formula RX8. They were offering, I guess, a better package in their eyes. And now it's turned to, you can do this category, which is similar rules, or you can do the original category, which is these rules, right? The big differences are one has a big wing, one doesn't. One has TV time, the other one has live stream footage. It's like one's competing for national category, one's for state category, and you see where it gets all messy?
But it's
right there.
It's frustrating.
It's a mess.
It's frustrating. Is it both AASA or both?
I think one's trying to get to Motorsport Australia, one's already been Motorsport Australia. It's complete. Messy. That's what I'm saying. It is so messy, you get confused what you're talking about.
And it's at the disappointment of the numbers.
Because that's the sad thing. Is the numbers that you could have had a 35 car grid for RX8s.
Yep.
Now we've got 18 there and 20 there. It's sad. Yeah. It's sad. And I've got nothing against what Formula RX8 is trying to achieve, and good on them. I've met the people that run it. But it's
just the overall picture. It takes it away. From both.
Why you just dreamt that it could have just stayed with one freaking thing and the numbers could have built up.
Well, that's why. But Aussie racing cars did that quite well. Phil Ward, when he originally designed the series, he had that category. He had Legends, Miniature Series, Aussie racing cars. He had control from Motorsport Australia over small race cars. You couldn't go out and build a small race car and try and compete and detract from that. And that's why you got big fields back in the day. Like I remember having success at Phillip Island, and we won the race and won the round, I reckon, or won a few races at Phillip Island. It was 45 cars or 48 cars. They were wrapped
How
around.
is that for an achievement?
They were wrapped around the side of Phillip Island, dude. Like the poor blokes at the end of the line couldn't see the green, so they had to just go off their radio or something. So that's massive spectacle for the series, and what you're saying is taking that away and splitting them up for no real reason, just because
someone has a better idea than others. It all comes down to politics and business. And it's everything in the world is going to have that. And that's what motorsport will have, even at this level.
It is frustrating. You've driven one?
Which what?
RX-8.
I have.
Yep.
Cool. It's good. It's a good level. I'd rather, if you're going to go up, you do 86s, but it's a fun car to drive.
So it's kind of, are they trying to compete against the 86s?
No, they're not. It's its own one-make thing. It's one of those cars where it's got a high production level and it's a cost-effective category. And if you don't want to jump up to that 86 level where you got, massive car trailers and big teams, then you do RX-8s, I guess, because you get the same value for money out of what the car is.
Until the big trailers come into 86s. Into RX-8s.
You hope not. But unfortunately, it's still politics at that level, which is a grassroots level, right?
It's a grassroots.
This AstroTurf. Yeah. But it's right. It's in every category now, isn't it? There's always competition. It's great for the sport. In many ways, it's great for the sport.
No matter what you do, competitive nature will drive spending. I don't care what cost cutting, what rules you make. People will read that rule book and try and undercut it or maximise in this area and make a carbon fibre or a titanium this or a sneaky thing here, and it's motorsport.
That's motorsport. And you look at any category, XLs, dirt carts, wingless, they all get out of get more expensive.
But dirt carts. I think there's a guy, Shannon Barry, that's created like an underfloor for a dirt cart, like carbon fibre underflooring.
The guy runs bleeders on a dirt cart.
There you go. So like
3,000 bleeders.
It's wingless have gone that way. I'll throw you under the bus. People are running carbon fibre, titanium, small diffs so they can keep the weight out the diff and put the weight where they want.
You have to innovate. Yeah, innovation's great.
It is, but when the category's designed off of certain philosophies, we have to be careful letting the cat out the bag, because what you end up with is a GT series where rich businessmen that don't really know how to drive get into the series, and then the entertainment really isn't there. Like Super 2 is great. 86 is great because they're drivers that have done years and years of racing, and they know how to drive, and the racing and entertainment's awesome. You don't want clumsy stuff going on. It's not good entertainment. Oh, probably Erebus. Erebus is getting heat. Erebus is getting a lot of heat, right?
Yeah, but
hey, people don't have the facts on what that team really has gone through. Exactly. They think they know. They don't know anything, dude. I know a lot of people in the pit lane. You do too. And we don't know half of what's going on at Erebus.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So I'm not going to speculate, and we know more than 95% of the comment sections. Just let it go. But here's my thing with this, right? They've been painted, Erebus Motorsport have been painted with a certain brush, right? We all know that, right? Why don't they lean into it? Be the bad boy. Be the bad boy. Be the metal militia, the monster energy. Lean into it. Be the hardcore, big bad Barry sort of. Lean into it.
It would be cool. Unfortunately, it feels
Skull and bones on the roof.
Everyone's following the bandwagon on that, though. Everyone's just following the bandwagon.
But lean into it. Be the bad boy. I don't know. You're getting the bad boy sort of image. So just, I don't know. That's my take on it.
You definitely could.
The villain team. People love to vote for the Pastrana / Deegan.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they used to love the skull and bones and sort of hardcore image. And the people that didn't like that went for Pastrana, the more clean cut Red Bull racing image. They just go hard.
Give or take.
Just go racing. Let's go racing.
What do you need to achieve from this season? You really need to make or break this, hey? Results wise, that's why it's so important that top 5 is top 5. You need that.
Yeah, 100%. This is definitely my last attempt at Super 2. I know that, and the funny thing with Super 2 is it's not you don't have to be the fastest guy every weekend to win the championship. You've just got to be consistent, and we've seen that the last couple of years. So You can have a bad race. Everyone's going to have a bad race every now and then. I just had mine at the very first one of the year. So top fives from now onwards and we'll be right.
Yeah, and you had a bad race and a good race, a massive transformation. And obviously the competition's even harder this year. It's 25 car grid, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the rookies got a bit of time to catch up, but there's a lot of people in the same position as you, the same experience as well.
The series gets more competitive every year, and when you're competing against other main game teams, Tickford's now a 4-car operation in Super 2. You got Walkinshaws, Eggleston always do a good job. Brad Jones, obviously, 888 back into it. It steps up every year, so it's always going to be tough.
It's a massive field.
Where are you, so you guys racing at Tasmania with us as well?
Yeah, Tassie's our
and
next
then
round.
Perth? What's your calendar looking like?
Our one after Tassie will be Townsville, and then we go to QR, Ipswich.
You've never been there, have you?
I've never been there. That'll be interesting. I've never been to Tassie either, so I've got a couple new tracks.
What's the testing restrictions like in Super 2? Is there any restrictions? Or
6 test days a year. I believe if you're a rookie, you get an extra 2.
So you get 8 as a rookie?
Yeah. That's a lot.
Which is a lot.
Jeez.
We definitely won't do that many at Brad Jones.
We get unlimited in
Plus
the
you get extra time on track, isn't it? At rounds, you get more practice. Or
the rookies get 10 minutes before the first round of the year. That's it. So, but they do get extra tyres.
Okay, well, there you go.
What, at the start of the year? So a tyre bank sort of thing?
Yeah, correct. Sydney, they had an extra set of tyres, which made a lot of them look a lot better than they probably were
at the start
on paper at the start of the weekend.
Yep.
Stupid rule.
Nah, like if you're a privateer and you don't have a tyre bank, then that's okay. Or a new team setting up, you need a tyre bank for the start of the year. So.
I don't think there's any privateers left in Super 2.
There's small teams.
I don't think there's there's no privateers. It's only charters that were doing it, privateers. Is there any, Brad?
Could be right.
I don't think there is anymore.
No, I think you're right. I think charters are the last one.
They're all big teams.
Big dogs.
Now. You have to be in a team.
Woof, woof, woof.
Yeah.
Big dogs everywhere. Yeah. It's one of those things. To race and to be up the front in Super 2, you need to have that data coming from the Supercar paddock, and it's ever evolving through the race weekend, and you can be a testament to that. You get some of that data stream coming through from the cars at the main game, and then you can tune your car and how the track's evolving, especially at street circuits. Like it's hard to know from session to session. Like we find that in the Utes, you go out on a Friday and then Sunday, the car, it's a completely different track out there. You're using different lines, and you can get away with stuff that you couldn't on Thursday on the race weekends.
Doesn't the fastest time in Super 2 get shown the data? Doesn't it get released out?
Yeah, in Super 2 we get fastest lap data and video. So whoever does the fastest qualifying, whoever puts on pole or in practice, everyone gets their data and video, which is quite useful.
Yeah.
Definitely helps when you're down the pace. When you're fastest, you don't want it to be given out. But there's so much setup stuff to supercars. Like you just get lost in the amount of things you can adjust and change. So
don't share that data on socials.
But
we do. The Tyre Powers V8 Super Ute series have put the same sort of thing in place. So the guy that's at pole, they have to share that data. So it evens up to some degree on brings the field spread a little bit closer. It makes better racing.
Well, it'd be a shame if my SIM card is not plugged in, mate. You know, if I get pole.
Well, you get a fine for that, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, maybe not then.
You nearly put a 256 megabyte in the camera today. What is a megabyte?
256 gigabyte.
Gigabyte. You said megabyte.
That would have been 1 second of footage. We're still getting things right. We're
We're learning.
So. I'm really keen for the Super 2 season. I just think half the rookies, half people with experience. And what seats are opening up though? You think about it. You've maybe got James Courtney, who's maybe going to retire at some point, which has been confirmed, but there's still not many seats available.
Well, what do we got in Supercars? We've got James Courtney.
Red Bull sorted out. Maybe something at Cool Drive.
There is young
kind of in
demographic.
There's a lot of young drivers that are already coming.
Well, we've had a big shift over the last couple of years, I guess. It's not as probably cutthroat as Formula One in terms of you're out if you don't perform in 3 or 4 rounds. Saying that though, Aaron
Love.
I think got the cut. So
I think he chose.
But there was rumours about that before the round. Like that's what I heard was that he was out at the end of the thing. So whether it's a funding related issue, whether it's a performance clause, I don't know.
So what do you got for us? You got some cool footage.
Footage. All right, we'll pull up something that's it's motorbike related.
Do we have meme of the week?
We've got a lot of the week.
Oh, there's new segments, are they?
So this is the most craziest stuff I've seen this week.
This isn't even legal. This looks like AI.
Daytona on a superbike. How crazy is this?
Look how dry it is. Look how dry the inside.
We think we're crazy driving race cars, right, with a roll cage and a helmet. These guys are doing 350 k's an hour on a super speedway. That to me, that's insane.
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing.
Like I know they're doing the offshoot.
They have to.
Look at this, dude.
Is there any crashes?
There is big crashes here. We'll pull that up next episode. But like, dude, seriously, that's insane.
I'm showing the crowd's so dead.
You know my favourite racing series?
What's that?
The Mazda series over there. Yeah,
MX-5 Cup.
MX-5.
Oh, we do that on the iRacing.
Correct. Their series over there that runs with IMSA is amazing. They had a massive crash at Daytona.
A massive crash.
I've seen that.
It's a viral video. Like I think 12 cars off.
It's a wreck fest, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
Well, it's just they hit like terminal velocity, and it's just bump drafting and triple bump drafting and sort of what lane do you choose sort of thing. And when you get it wrong on those super speedways, it's just a
their one make series is crazy. I don't know if MX-5 is like a feeder category to the GR Cup there because their GR Cup cars have sequential gearboxes.
I think it's a completely different.
Or is that totally different platform?
No, like it's the Toyota 86, but it's a TR 86, but it's a completely different platform, like you said.
And then
I think they got slick tyre. Do the 86s got? What have they got in Australia?
Like just what is it? Just
radial
6-speed gearbox.
The radial Dunlop Super.
Whereas they got slick tyres in America, I'm pretty sure, and it's sequential gearbox.
That's
and
cool.
Bigger wings and sort of stuff like that. But I guess that probably leads on to the IMSA side.
IMSA grid, I don't know how their grids work, but still, it's a very cool car what the GR produces over there.
You know what else is pretty funny? Check this out. I found this.
The hell?
So it's in Netherlands, so Dutch, right? It's called the reverse racing. What do you reckon?
It looks like Simmons Plains.
Wait, look at this.
So they're just racing in reverse.
So it's a full championship right over there, and you have to be reversing.
We should do this at Sedan.
This is actually
there's a cameraman. This is back in the
a skill
90s,
set. This is actually a very impressive skill set. You have to be freaking.
What do you reckon, Brad? We try. Dude.
Yeah, we'll do this at the Paddock Cup this year.
So we'll implement this as one of the races.
This could change the game for Australian motorsport right here. This is what we need.
They're too scared to drive in the wet, Dusty.
Because to go
what
left,
do you reckon?
you have to go
Driving
right.
reverse.
To go left, you have to go.
He's run off the field.
Oh, he's gonna hit him! Oh no!
So
I want to see this.
But this is the sort of stuff that gets fans entertained. You
Look
know,
at the crowd. Look at the crowd.
They're packed to the brims, dude.
Oh, it's something different.
You know,
who's
well, how do you even look? Do you look through?
Oh shit! He's done
it. Dude, this is because if anyone's driven fast in reverse before, right? Do you know how hard, like a little bit of steering input turns the car massively? It's like driving a forklift. Have you ever driven a forklift,
I haven't,
Dusty?
but these things are tin cans on wheels.
Have you driven You've driven a forklift? Yeah. That's what it would be like.
Yeah, what's for a steer now?
Yeah. You'd want to change your steering rack to you'd want to slow your steering rack right down.
This looks like a demo derby at Murray Bridge Speedway.
Well, they had a record. You haven't done much Speedway stuff, have you, Dusty?
I haven't, no.
So they done a record a couple of years ago. They tried to break the Guinness World Record of
most demolition derby.
Demolition cars on track at one time. And I think it was around
about 120 cars.
So
they're going to try and break it again next year, so stay tuned.
I reckon I might enter that.
I love Demo Derby. Demo Derby was how I got started in Speedway, watching that. You wait for the Demo Derby to come on at the end, and it was...
and that's the thing with Speedway. Like, the only thing that draws crowd, sprint cars.
Yeah.
And Demo Derby.
Demo Derby.
Like, sprint cars roll.
Yeah, well, that's it. And they're fast. But it's a weird state of affairs. Like, you could put on the best midget racing, speed car racing, and no one goes there and watch it. You could put the best super sedan racing, door to door, like edge of the seat. Like as a true blue racer, you could watch it, and no one goes to watch it. You put on a demo derby that there's no real skill involved at all.
Anybody.
And there's 10,000 crowd.
Because demo derby is for everybody.
But the kids love it.
The kids love it. I have a kid.
Do you remember, have you ever been to a Caravan derby race?
No, they did that as well.
Yeah, bro. You've been there. We're the Speedway bros, mate. We've been around. They tow a Caravan on the back of a demo derby, and you have to race around, and you can smash into the Caravan, rip them off, and you have to end the race with the Caravan still attached.
That's what V8 Supercars was going to be, towing Caravans around.
Yeah, we're proposing it now.
Isn't that great? But the demo derby unfortunately doesn't get the numbers, I guess, because they need more cars and it's expensive to do it still, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I think it's just they still do it. They still have, like I was saying, they're trying to do another big record breaking thing at the Murray Bridge. So I think they were going to break it, but there was about 5 or 10 cars that couldn't actually start to drive onto the actual track. So
that's sad. That is so sad.
So
that close to having a real record in our own hometown.
Yeah.
When is that happening? When's that?
I don't know. You're holding. We don't know the dates.
Well, I don't know the exact date,
I'm going.
You're going to go.
Stay tuned.
I should do it in winter. Have a mud bath.
Mud bath?
Yeah, slip and slide, demo derby.
You like are you picturing some sort of mud slide fight?
Dirt track cowboys. That's
you
my
could singer.
Thank you.
It's a new thing that you're trying.
I'm just a big fan of Speedway because of all the country songs I've heard associated.
Are you taking singing lessons?
I've got an announcement coming up for that actually.
Yeah, right. Dusty sounds like a new like a western
kind of country.
I don't know, like a Texas sort of
Texas
instrument.
chainsaw kind of rubber. Yeah.
You know what I love about motorsport? We don't really have the discussion about transgender. Do you know? I'm serious, because we no, listen. This is a hot topic, right? Because right, listen. I have to say this politically correct, because
I'm listening.
Right, because you can be male, female, a furry, an animal, and you can race together. So it doesn't matter if you're a female or a male.
Yeah.
You race together.
Yeah.
So there's no debate on if you're a transgender and you're racing in the male racing. Everyone's racing in the same category.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why we haven't, as a motorsport worldwide, really fallen victim of this woke agenda that, he shouldn't be racing in that category. Because we don't have categories. If you want to race and you're a great female, a great male, let's go racing. So you're seeing
I got beaten by a transgender in the XLs last year.
Did you?
Yeah, and they were good.
And that's what I'm saying. So I love that. No, I'm serious. In all seriousness, we haven't fallen victim over social media that it's a big talking point. Because the poor Olympics, you see that all over social media, that they talk about that rather than the actual person that's won the event. Like,
we don't think we've got any high level. But
that's because we don't have that fact.
If you want to go car racing, it's open for all. All right, just. Yeah, if you're Stephanie, Tiffany, Jeremy,
it doesn't matter.
I'm fine with that.
I understand that FIA have implemented the female only Formula Series, and I understand that they've put that together.
Oh, the what's it called? It's the race. It's F1 Academy. F1 Academy.
Yeah,
we've got like some big Aussies. It's actually
it's massive.
What are they? They're like F3 cars or something.
I guess they're like a Formula 4/Formula 3.
So what do they race? They just race. Like, so I don't know this stuff because I know they promote it, but is it popular? Is it going to be?
No,
I
don't think it's popular like Formula 3 or Formula 2. But look, if it brings females into Formula 1, because I don't think we've had a female Formula 1 for
only test pilots.
And she had a massive crash.
There was one young lady, there
was Williams.
Marussia car, unfortunately.
No, I think there was a Williams one as well that hit and she had a massive accident. There was two.
Yeah, there was two in the same team.
It's bloody hard.
One was Jules Bianchi under a tractor. That was
no. This was the Marussia female driver, and then a Williams female driver that had an incident as well. So I'll see if we can pull that up and show that. But that's the hardest thing when you have one incident. We're not going to put a female driver in, but there's many great female drivers out there, and maybe that's what that Formula Academy
It will happen
is trying
eventually.
to help with.
It will happen eventually. I really hope it does.
If they're good enough, they should get it.
If they're
it's as simple as that.
But is F1 Academy going to give that to someone? Is that going to prove?
Well, I think it does. Like, I think it gives them the platform to showcase what kind of driver they are, what kind of marketable driver they are, and then they can move off to Formula 3 or Formula 2.
Yeah, I think that's the argument of a lot of the FW drivers is, well, no, if we want to go to Formula 1, we've got to do it the way that everyone else does, which is through F3 and F2. So there's a lot of female drivers that haven't gone against it. But, I've plenty of female race car drivers that have been very good. In dirt racing, there's plenty. I'd say there's
Lisa
plenty
Walker.
of go-kart days where we've lined up and there'd be 50% female, 50% male in juniors. And they can definitely steer. So it's funny that it hasn't really taken off in bitumen, but yeah.
Is
Interesting.
From a supercar aspect, you know what Simone did? She was good.
Well, we've got Alexandra Best. We've got Holly Espray. They're all great drivers, and they're up the front. They're you can do it. It's just, I guess it stems from sort of go-karts. The demographic is stigmatized to be a male sport. So you've got more males in the sport already. So you're not going to see right up the top echelon that there'll be females at the same percentage, I guess.
I might be wrong, but I respect that Renee Gracie's made it work herself and found her own funding.
How's she made it work?
Well, she's done stuff that the ordinary person wouldn't do. I met her, a couple of times. I think she's, nice enough person. But obviously,
I'd do it if I could make it work.
If I can, sell some photos and go racing.
What would you sell if you had to?
I'd probably do nose pictures.
No, that's quite large. It's a 6-inch nose.
If I could make money off my nose, mate, I would proudly to go car race. I'll do anything, mate. I'll do anything to go in a GT car. That'd be awesome.
Would you be open for me and you to do a collab with your nose?
Shut up, mate.
My foot and your nose,
you dirty
maybe.
dog. Here's the thing. Have you watched her documentary? Have you guys watched it?
Okay, so
you haven't watched it? Nah, it's.
Oh, you haven't. So there's a few controversial sort of.
She dug Paul Morris a grave in.
I don't know if she dug him a grave.
That's what the Speed Cafe wanted to say about it. It was, but
so explain a little bit more on that.
So she was talking about that Paul turned off her main screen in her Super 2 car at the time and wasn't giving her the information that she needed as such to achieve what she wanted to achieve, and that she could just figure it out herself. That was one of her points. But either way, she still made it to that level, but the results just weren't there.
Who is Australia's best female driver?
Simona was probably.
Nah, but she's not Australian.
Oh, she's not Australian. Yeah, true.
It's bloody hard. If you look, there's no Super 2 drivers at the moment. So I guess you'd have to look at is there any Porsche?
Alice Buckley?
No, but you have to look at Holly Espray.
The next thing, yeah.
All seriousness, at the level of heavy V8 racing, what is there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she is not a bad steerer.
She's a good steerer.
She drove right in the XLs, one stuff.
Budget
86s. Exactly. If she was in a Cedars racing car, she would probably be.
I think Alice is probably feeding on to be the next thing in Super 2. I think she'll do Super 2, right? She's done GR Cup for a while.
What's her story? She raced in the past.
XLs and 86s, and she's got top 10s in GR Cup.
A lot of karting results as well. Before cars.
So there's opportunity there. You can put the results in, which they can. No, Alice got third in scholarship at Phillip Island. So Super 2 is the next stage, as long as the budget's there, because that's always the main thing to look at first. And
so she's doing, is GT4 on some of the supercar calendar, or are we not sure?
No, she's in GR, but GT4.
Oh, sorry, she's in GR Cup.
GR Cup.
Someone else's.
Summer Rentals now doing
she's in GT4. So what's the GT4 story? I haven't really been involved.
GT4 is now the feeder for, they say GT3, and but for some reason it's picked up a lot of demand with gentleman drivers and professional drivers with them, co-driving. They got massive numbers again this year, massive, and it seems like I don't see how GT4 is going to get you on the Supercars grid.
You need to be in Super 2.
It's probably
it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Sounds
you
like
need to race Super 2, or you're not even going to get a look in.
GT4 sounds like it's hard. It's easier to drive than a GR Cup car because it's paddle shift and assist.
It's just cheating. In all seriousness, and it's my opinion. I'm allowed. This is my podcast. I'll talk. I'll say what I want. I think you need some racecraft. You need good go-kart experience. You need an Aussie car that you can hustle, a car that you need to drive, you know, a gear shifter, no ABS, no traction control, none of this stuff that helps you out. Because if you can learn that fundamental of car control and handling a car at its hardest, when you get into supercars or Formula One, where there's maybe aids and maybe good engineers that can help you, you've got the fundamentals locked in. So I don't know. That's my thought.
And even being in Super 2 doesn't mean you're going to get to main game. There's still got to be in the right position at the right time. So it's incredibly tough. You know, you've got to be in the right spot, and Super 2's the place where people are coming out of. And before that, it's 86s, and before that, it's XLs. So it's pretty simple.
It's there. It's a gentleman's car if you want to use it there. It looks like a fun car to drive. It seems like a lot of people from GR Cup are moving over because they find it easier to drive, but they enjoy driving it more. So you get a choice there if you want to do it. You know, it looks like a fun car to drive still. That's good, but I don't know if you're doing GT4, where you're trying to go. You know, where's that leading you to? It's another category of many. Cool category.
Spending a lot of money. That's where it's leading you.
That's what it is. But that's fantastic. We're actually 2 hours into the podcast almost, and I actually want to wrap it up. And I want to talk about Grab Life by the Balls, because you're now wearing the merch and it's very important to you. And you've obviously collaborated with this awesome team. So can you just tell us a bit about what it is? Yeah.
So unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, we had one of our pit crew members that was a good friend of ours that took their own life. So the first thing I thought was, or not first thing, but one of the things I thought of is how can I sort of raise awareness for men's mental health, and came across these guys, Grab Life by the Balls, which is a charity for boys and men's health. And we'll be doing some auctions and raffles throughout the year to raise some money. I'll also be doing a helmet design for later in the year for the Enduros and a few Super 2 races, which will be on my helmet. So that's pretty cool, raising some awareness, raising some money, and that's what it's all about.
How do we have a look at this? Is there a website that you can have a look?
There will be soon. We'll be doing the raffle and stuff online, but in the meantime, Grab Life by your Balls on their website. It's all about sort of having mates and having barbecues and stuff is what they're about. It's not anything too full on counselling or anything. It's all about just having some mates and having those friends around you.
Seriously important.
Well, that's what motorsport should be all about, is getting your mates together.
Well, that's what we're there for, to have a good time. That is what we're there for, and we.
Sometimes you can lose that focus in motorsport, and you got to keep that family tight and your friends tight, and have fun with it.
This is a family atmosphere at the end of the day, and what it should be. And stay tuned on that. Brad will have more information on his social medias coming up. And I think at the end of the day, you're supporting a great cause. You can even win a helmet, which is fantastic once it gets designed. So thank you, and it's a massive tribute to have there, which is fantastic. I just want to say though, thanks guys for coming on. I think we're going to have us three on more often.
Yeah, we'll get Brad. Obviously, he's a local lad and not far away from us, so we'll get him on a little bit more throughout the year, and we're going to get some more guests on in the upcoming episodes, and look forward to continuing that open discussion on motorsport around the world.
There's a lot of topics we have to dive back into from today, and there's so much more to dive on because there's much. But look, seriously, thank you, and thanks, Brad, for coming on.
No worries.
It's an absolute pleasure.
So 3 different states. You'll check us out. We're going to be all in 3 different states this weekend.
Massive win. Everyone's you're in Sydney.
I'm in Adelaide.
You're in Adelaide.
You're in Tasmania.
I'm here in Tasmania. So we'll see how the racing goes. We have more chats to have after this weekend of racing. But
so subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, check it out on all our socials, and
please do, guys.
Get around it.
It does help us out a lot, and super grateful. And Brad will be back on the podcast. So thank you, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
See you soon. Bye.
Let's go to the woolshed.